I'm your host, Elizabeth, and this is For the Talkers. Hello, talkers, and happy Thursday. And it actually really is Thursday for me. It is 6:27 a.m. and I am getting this intro recorded, and I'm actually feeling great about it. Before I tell you a little bit about today's episode, I just have to say I have been waking up a bit early, a bit. Okay, let's be realistic here. I'm a night owl, so mornings are hard, but I've been trying to wake up a bit early and go for a walk, whether it's 5 minutes or 30 minutes. And you guys, the world's a great place. Every day is a new day to be the happiest person you've ever been. I don't understand why going on a walk in the mornings has been such a game changer for me, but it has. I'm not half asleep when I get to work. I'm not relying on my cup of coffee to wake me up, and it's been great. So if you have an extra 5 minutes in your routine, I would just put it out there. Unfortunately so, going on walks in the morning is really helpful to start a great day. So today is Thursday, and we've got an episode with Colin. Is nothing short of amazing. He is so kind, and even though he was a guest on my show, I just really felt like he was helping me out and had such great things to say, advice, if you will. Obviously, he's a great story. He's an actor, an entertainer, and he has a show called The Getup Show, and it's for kiddos to help them get going in the morning. And unashamedly, I've listened to a few episodes. It is great. So if you or anyone you know has kiddos, definitely recommend his show, The Getup Show. It's available anywhere podcasts are. And yeah, I love it. I can't wait to use it one day when I have kids. And I just love Colin and his energy and the creative person that he was. And you can just tell through the episode that he is such a team player. He definitely is that guy in the room that's encouraging everyone. He's, not taking sides. He's just the nice guy that is helpful to everyone, letting everyone know they can do it and they've got it. And at some point in the episode, can't remember why, but painting came up, and I was saying how I can't paint because I just feel like my paintings never look like what I want them to, right? And Colin just told me to paint, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. Colin's made his life work out of entertaining and being creative. He obviously gets it a little. And so me and Grace went camping over the last weekend, which you'll get to hear more about next week. But we did some painting, and I just embraced my wildness. We'll have to have Grace tell the story of what my painting went through, but I just appreciate Colin so much and his encouragement. So let me stop rambling your ear off and tell you a little bit about Colin. Just a reminder, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. It helps me so much to get the podcast out to new people, which is obviously what I'm here to do. So a little bit about Colin. Colin Borden is an actor, comedian, director, and content creator. He usually just shortens that to entertainer. He currently hosts and, with his wife Anna, produces The Get Up Show, a newish variety podcast for kids and families. His work has won multiple international awards, and he has a TikTok following of over 2 million and counting. And he's got 2 kids, 2 dogs, 2 hamsters, 1 wife, and wishes he were better at the banjo, but who has the time? So join me in welcoming Colin. Okay, hello, Colin.
Hello, Elizabeth.
All right, let me get right into my happy, funny, sad moments from the week. And they're kind of simple, but so my happy is me and Grace have been getting the small single serve yogurts lately because we just don't go through a whole tub, whatever. Well, we got a Chobani Flips, and I was like, I'm never eating anything else
go back.
except for these. It was just, they're just my favorite. They have the little toppings that are separate, and you can put it into it. And So it's fun and delicious. I love it.
Yeah.
And then my funny moment, so we went out to teppanyaki the other night, and it's like that where they cook right in front of you. Have you seen that?
They like throw shrimp at you and stuff.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, we went there and our cook, I don't know if that's what you would call it, so funny. Like, he probably uses all the same jokes with every,
Sure.
table he has, but to me, they were hilarious,
It
like,
works.
so funny. Um, my mother-in-law likes her steak well done, and he's like, "I'm sorry?" And she repeats it, and he's like, "No, like, I'm just sorry." So just like little kind of quips like that the whole dinner. So that was just had me laughing so much.
It's
And
fun.
yeah. And then my sad is just the weather. We are moving into fall here in Utah. It's been so rainy and so cold. And I do love fall, but I'm just sad to see summer go.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
wearing like a sweater or a coat
Yeah.
more than I like wearing just a t-shirt, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't need winter.
No. No, and
No.
it's been, like, freezing, kind of all of a sudden too, so I'm like,
Oh
"Really?
wow.
We couldn't get a slower
A
transition?"
gradient?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly, 1 degree a day, so we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but those are mine.
Very cool. I could start with my sad because that's probably a better way to go maybe to build up.
Yes, yep,
I'm, I'll level with you. My sad was this morning. I've been and I think maybe we'll talk about this, but I'm an actor, and it's been a rather difficult road lately, especially for in Hollywood here, professional actors. So I was talking this morning with a career coach, essentially, just sort of about what the heck do I do here, dude? Um, and I was only about a 15, 20 minute, 5 or so phone call. I hung up and I genuinely started crying because I just was like this. I've been chasing this thing for so long, and the way these conversations start is like, oh yeah, you're really good. You're not getting work? No. Oh, that's really weird. I don't know why that is. It's like you can't help me. Nobody else. And I just so yeah. If I went and found my wife, and it's like I think I need to cry. But then she was very lovely about it, and we moved through it, so that was good. But yeah, that's probably the saddest I've been in a while.
yeah, sounds like it, but
Yeah,
sometimes a good cry is what you need, get it out, and then we
yeah,
can
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, they help. They help. My happy would then be the whiplash effect of the rest of my day. Um, I'm working on a kids podcast right now called the Get Up Show, and we left. I was like drying my face, and we got in the car and we drove over to my friend's house, who's a musician, and we're writing a new original song for this podcast. And it was just fun. It'll probably be out in a couple weeks, I think, but it's a folk song. So he just got his guitar and just sat there, and we did some licks, and we, tossed some ideas around for lyrics and theme of the song and all this kind of fun stuff. And then we left there, and I had 3 actors come in one at a time to record their parts for the show, and now I get to sit here and talk with you, and like the rest of the day has just been so full of creativity and joy and unbeatable happiness.
Yeah.
There's not a lot better, except my kids, which is my son and my daughter. We were out the other evening, so the babysitter was here. We have an ice cream truck that drives by our house. Ice cream truck, pretty much what it says on the tin, right? You would reckon that you would go up there and get ice cream. Babysitter brought them to the truck, and my son got from the ice cream truck a rubber chicken. The squeezy,
Okay.
loud, weird old rubber chicken things. That was his decision from the ice. He didn't want a sweet.
Yeah, he didn't
Uh,
even get any ice cream?
nothing. No, he just got himself a rubber chicken. He's 5 years old. Uh, I love it.
Love it. Well, shame on the ice cream man for having loud, obnoxious toys
I
in
know.
the
Stick to
wasn't
the
very
brief.
yeah.
Yeah.
Something that will be gone in 5 minutes. I don't want something that's gonna linger.
Yes. Least of all
That's great.
noisy.
Yeah. No, seriously. Not very considerate.
No.
That is so random. That is so random. I guess I
Yeah.
haven't visited any ice cream trucks lately. So,
Well, who knows what you could find?
yeah, maybe more. I'm not sure. Awesome. Okay, well, Yes, speaking of your kids show, I would just love to hear more about that. I
Yeah.
I have to tell you, so I don't have kids, but I plan to one day, and I'm, like, already downloading every episode. I'm like, "I need to have these in my back pocket." I think they're so fun, so creative,
Well,
and I
thanks.
just wanna hear more about it, how you kind of came up with this idea. Obviously, I'm not in the kids world, but I haven't really heard of many shows like this, so I would
No.
just love to hear more.
Sure. It's called The Get Up Show. Our fun tagline is we get you from snooze to shoes with music, mindfulness, and a little mayhem. And it really kind of came out of this idea of my kids like media. They're my wife's a director. I'm an actor. We're a pretty media heavy family. Um, so they like listening to podcasts. They love storytelling. They love listening to stories. There's a lot of really wonderful podcasts for kids, educational stuff, entertainment stuff, but it's all sort of geared toward either like an afternoon think, like a just a solid sort of, oh yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you, PBS Kids. Or it's time to go to bed and it's just somebody reading to you a little story. Time to go to bed. So we would get to the morning and music that you would look for kids is either Coco Melanie, Rinky Dinky kind of stuff, or there's pop music, or there's classic. Like it was sort of hard to kind of meter what we needed because you're kind of picking the mood, and the kids want to sleep, and it's dark. And then the podcasts, there was nothing really exciting to play for them, so I was just like, we need something like this. Wait, we make stuff. Why? Maybe we should make something like this. So every episode starts with this kind of voice. Hey, good morning. We play a little sort of classical, chilled out song, so you get that nice kind of wake up, and then things just from there start ratcheting up and getting louder and crazier and sillier, and we talk about it's not really there to babysit your kids or to set your schedule because every family is going to be different. But it allows that initial wake up, and then we kind of have little check marks in about like, oh, maybe it's time for breakfast, maybe it's time to start getting your clothes on. Had you brushed your teeth yet? And every episode has a stretch routine with we got two yogi friends, a guy called Tommy T and a lady called Mac. And they come in and they do these little 4 or 5 minute stretch routines to get everybody kind of moving. And yeah, it was the goal to create a fun, energetic variety program that get kids out of bed.
Totally. Well, I have to admit, I did listen to one,
I love it.
and I would say you've completely done that. That's
Oh,
absolutely
great.
what it is.
There's like we have a little every now and then we do have a segment we call it infotainment. Like this last week, or a couple. I don't know when we'll be listening when you're listening to this, dear listener. But a few weeks ago we put out an episode. We have a segment called the History Phone, and we got to talk to the most notorious pirate, or the most successful pirate in all of history, a Chinese pirate called Qing Shi. So they're involved in that is a fair amount. I'd never heard of her until very recently myself. My kids hadn't heard of her, so it's fun to sort of push these narratives. A woman called Bessie Coleman, too, we did a little while ago, who was the first black female aviator in the country. Um, and so just finding kind of fun little things like that. But knowing that kids are about to set out on a really long, really hard day, our program is chiefly just about fun. It's serial for the kids, even if parents I think sometimes get cynical and it's like, oh, what did you do today? You just went to school. Your life is not hard. But the fact is, it's really hard. Kids have it really hard. Um, just the expectations that are put upon them, the social interactions that they have to deal with all day, which we were kids, we know it can get really dicey. These days are long and hard, so that's the other kind of mission half of our show is that just enjoy yourself, be happy for these, this half hour or so that you are getting up in the morning, being kind to yourself while you wake up. You don't need to rush. We say that every morning. You don't need to rush. You just kind of get up, have a little stretch, connect to your body, and then just, eat some cereal and have a laugh.
But yeah, my partner is a social worker and she primarily works with kids. And
That's huge
yeah, I
work.
think yeah, I think subconsciously we kind of do just think like school is so good for kids and it's, this great thing and it is. And
Yeah,
remembering, like you're saying, it's hard and to go, especially in this time from summer where you kind of have more free reign and not so many, like you're saying, expectations. That
yeah,
is a great reminder that like it's hard for these kiddos. So I love that to
yeah.
have just
Be a
like,
kid.
yeah, yeah, fun way to start the day. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like you said, you had the means to start a podcast, but how did you do that? Right. I've had multiple people actually reach out to me. How do you start a podcast? What do you do? And I'm like, I don't know. You kind of start it. So I'm
Yeah.
curious what that process was kind of like for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, to some extent, anybody can do it. It's a very democratized system. We host through a site called Buzzsprouts, and then that pushes it out to all the various podcast platforms, and anybody can download from there. So, and I know that there are free services as well, but we pay for ours. I don't know. Do you pay for your
No, I just
service, or
use Spotify and it's a free
it just
service.
plugs it out?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The best way to do it is just kind of start doing it. And if you want to do a show like this, find interesting people to interview. I'm sure. I mean, how did you get started?
Gosh, well, I started kind of more solo and realized I don't have that much to say. So yeah, I
That
started
can't be true.
started doing interviews. No, I could talk forever. I just don't know how interesting it is. So yeah, I same thing. I just started put out a few, was going for weekly and I would miss some episodes. And so I was like, all right, I need to find some people to be on the show. Kind of exhausted all my close friends
Your
and
buddies.
family. Yep.
Uh-huh.
So then I hopped onto Podmatch and have had really great success. And I love it. It's such a fun way to connect with people,
Yeah.
and, um, I don't know about you, where your audience is kiddos, but I love when I go somewhere and someone's like, "Oh, I was listening to that episode and Colin sounded so fun." I'm like, "Yeah," and so it's
Yeah.
kind of fun that it starts conversations like that, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I just found, like, a $20 mic on Amazon, did a light Google search on how to
Uh-huh.
record, used Adobe because I had free services through my school, and then, yeah, just started it and slowly kinda has progressed to this, but
I
kinda
mean,
just started.
that's for any creative endeavor. Like we work in entertainment. I'm primarily an actor. I direct, I write, and all these kinds of things. And that is the hardest possible thing for people to really like get their brains around for whatever reason is, how do I become an actor? Well, you go to an audition and then you start acting. Like it really kind of is that simple. All the stuff that's hard about it is like the stuff that I had to go through this morning or whatever. Acting, especially, you kind of throw yourself at a system, and it's sort of harder to. You're not really in control of yourself in terms of your success necessarily. You can only control so much, so that becomes difficult. But yeah, anything like that, like a podcast, like a book, like you want to write a novel, just start writing and see where it takes you and be creative and let yourself, inspire yourself, and then give those pages to a trusted buddy, get some feedback, give those pages to an untrusted buddy, get some feedback. And that's just kind of how you build it. When we started the Get Up show, we knew that we have a certain background, so we knew that how to write an episode. We knew how to um, cast some actors and things like that. We've got really wonderful actors. We had another buddy, a guy called Matt Zambrano, who performs on our show and writes for our show, and he is also on a show called The Story Pirates, which is another really wonderful kids podcast. A very silly, like it's that breakfast cereal idea. It's really great. So we knew him, and he worked on Story Pirates. So we like grabbed hold of him and just sort of like got basic ideas about what's sort of a structure and a theme and all these kinds of things we kind of got from him, and then we just made the show. More or less. We 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 mapped out a bunch of ideas. This could be a segment. Um, how does the show sort of operate? What's the arc of the show? Every episode of our show is essentially the same arc. It's a slow morning wake up. It's a little greeting. It's a routine. It's a loud sound. It's a sketch. It's a music. It kind of follows this rhythm every time, and that came from Anna, my wife and producing partner, and I sitting down and yeah, just like really physically mapping it out, writing the words down on cards and looking at them and shuffling them around. And then we went and we made an episode, and from there made edits. And then we kind of realized we had two episodes because it didn't all need to work in the one episode. Um, so yeah, we had a bit of a creative background. We knew roughly what we could do, what we couldn't do, and then it was just became the act of doing it, and some slight trial and error. And I think that's the way you approach any venture, let alone creative ventures, like anything.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I know, I feel like podcasting in the world of influencers and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, I feel like podcasting is kind of it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different than these different kinds of media, and it's kind of a lot sometimes.
Yeah,
And then at the same time, I'm like, I couldn't be posting 10 TikToks a day, so has its differences as well. But
yeah.
so I know you've guest on a few other podcasts. Is this your first podcast that you've created?
This is yes, yeah. Where you, yeah. I mean, we don't normally. Actually, my this is kind of cute, and I just realized my wife and I got together in an audio class in college. That was how I got her telephone number, was off of the
Oh,
the sign-in sheet for the audio class.
and look at you
Um,
now.
and look at us now. But yeah, this would be our first podcast, and it was what was sort of on the what organically made sense for what we wanted to do. Was the format, the idea informed the format.
Yeah, yeah. From all your kind of creative outlets, what do you like most about podcasting specifically?
Oh golly, well, I I sometimes grumpily would argue that ours isn't our show is a show. It's not a
Yes.
podcast per se. So what I love about doing our show in particular is yeah, just the putting up of a creative enterprise. It is like we've done all sorts of projects. There are so many people involved, like in making even just a short film. There's a lot of moving parts, and they're very expensive, and you bring in people, and actors are going to act, and DPs are going to light, and the various things are going to happen that maybe you didn't quite have totally planned in your head. And this bad boy, the Get Up Show, is like the most. You could look inside my brain and see this show. Like it is so connected to what we want to do with it. And if I don't like a line, that I record it, I'll just go back and re-record it, and I can just drop it in real quick. I can edit it the way I want to edit it. Um, for whatever reason, actors are like, no, don't give me a line reading. Right? Don't tell me how to say the line unless they're behind a microphone, and I can go like, "Oh yeah, just do it." Like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy!" And they go, "Oh yeah, oh my gosh, that's crazy!" And they do it. And I'm like, "Yeah, great, thank you very much." Moving on, next slide.
Yeah.
Um, and in addition to bringing on really, really great actors and letting them, do their own thing and play and
Sure.
have fun behind the mic. But yeah, just in what is really wonderful about the Get Up Show, and we come out every week and we put it together in one week. It's a 39 minute variety show every week with all these it's a wall to wall jokes and music and just the I don't want to use too lofty of a word, but like the enormous effort that it takes to do that week to week to come up with all these new gags and stories and concepts and characters and um, put them all on the microphone and then edited them all together. I mean, I spend hours looking for just like sound effects. Like, is that the right corkscrew. No, it needs to be squeakier. Maybe I can combine these two things to make it better. Um, but yeah, and then it's just pure joy. Like just the work of it. It's all great.
Yeah. You kind of brought up your ideas, and I'm really curious. So, obviously, it's not just you working on this show,
No,
but where do you get your ideas? Where do you feel like maybe if you feel like they come from somewhere, or what you do to get yourself in a place where, like, yeah, I can come up with some new ideas here?
that's really a good question. The flat answer is I have no idea, but I do know that I'm a victim of my circumstances. This show, the Get Up Show, is very much rooted in the Muppet Show, Conan O'Brien, Saturday morning cartoons that I watched as a kid. Vaudeville is like in there, like all these things that I really loved. We do every day is we have the sponsored loud sound of the day, and it begins with a sponsored message from, and we always do something sort of silly like we've done last week was cinnamon roll. We've done setting your clothes out the night before. Like this episode is brought to you by setting your clothes out the night before. Do you get tired in the morning? Is it too dark to? And just sort of running a quick little ad as it is stolen directly from when I would watch hours and hours of like 1950s game shows. It's like the Colgate Variety
Yeah.
Hour, brought to you by, and just watching those kinds of things goes right down my funnel and out into the show. Um, and then the other place is my goofball kids. I'm putting a rubber chicken in this episode because my son got a rubber chicken. Um, they say we have a sci-fi show. Like one of our segments is a sketch. Every week there's a new sort of episode couched within our grander situation. And we kind of treat it as sometimes it's a Saturday Night Live type sketch, just totally random. Sometimes it is a more like what would you have loved to have seen as a Saturday morning cartoon? And one of those is this sci-fi show that we do. It's called Zax and Spax Space Mechanics. And my son and I were playing a game where we were spacemen on the couch, running around. We had helmets on our heads, like boxes for helmets on our heads. And he asked me what my name was, and I said my name's Zax. And I said, "What's your name?" And he said, "You're Zax. I'll be Spax." Great. And then while we were playing, I just realized we were spending so much more time fixing our ship than we were like flying it or walking around on another planet or something like that. And I was like, this is just a good firmament for something. Zax and Spax, space mechanics could work. Like, what can you do with that? And then, from there it sort of spirals, and then story is really based on your needs and stuff like that, like what you have to accomplish creates character, creates scenarios, creates choices that these characters are making. All that kind of stuff kind of comes a little bit more from staring at a wall and kind of forcing story to happen. But those all those ideas of just like the kind of grander concepts come from my just sponge like need to walk around the world and look at things like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Totally. I love it. I I wish I had, like, a GoPro on me at all times so that
Yeah.
when some because how like, there's so many times in the day or I have a thought or whatever and doesn't make it to paper, and then I don't remember, next week, but
Do you the notes app on your phone
I do
is a
utilize
glorious little
that, yeah.
thing.
I need to have it like how on your camera, you can just, like, hold it down, and it goes right to the camera?
Yeah.
I
Yes,
need
yes. A quick, easy swipe, a home
Yeah.
screen swipe or
Well,
whatever.
because
Lock
the
screen
second
swipe.
the phone's open, we're toast.
Yes.
We're
Oh, what's on
getting
Instagram?
distracted. Yeah.
What was I doing? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so great. Well, not to go back to your sad,
Yeah, please.
but I would love to talk a little bit about, what you do in those kind of slow periods and finding that drive to work. I know that was something that, you kinda like to talk about, and I would love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that I've found is you just have to make for yourself. And even when you do get a big boy job and somebody else is paying you, go and like enjoy it for yourself. Be there for you, and you're going to get better work. But it, like I said earlier, this acting, my wife is a director, these kind of freelance creative jobs come with, you have to be proving yourself, be selling yourself. Like muggles or whatever have jobs, and they maybe go to 6 or 7 job interviews, over a few months, and then they get their job and they work there for a few years, and maybe they go to another. I'm going to 6 or 7 job interviews, a week if I'm lucky. I haven't done that in a while, but you know what I mean. Like it's just constant rejection and constant like sort of like trying and trying and trying. So when all that stuff is really kind of lousy and not clicking in the way that you hope it to, that's when it's time to turn around and not wallow, but create. And that's certainly how the Get Up show came to be about. That's we got my wife's doing a play right now, and um, just being like, you know what, this thing needs my voice, needs my attention. I can put that there. I can funnel all of that energy that I could be spent wallowing in. I would rather much rather energize this and intentionalize this. Um, and it is hard, I think, to do that right off the bat. Certainly, every time a job ends for me, you get a couple days, in bed, on the couch, trying to be like, when is the
Yeah.
phone gonna ring again? Who's gonna call me next? Um, but yeah, it is about just forging your own path, paving your own way, and no one's coming to help you. Unfortunately, you gotta make it happen yourself.
Fortunately.
Unfortunately,
Yep. Yep. Unfortunately. I love that word that you use, energize. I love that. Sometimes we can get a little, I don't know, whatever the opposite of energize is.
yeah,
A little
yeah,
slow, a little like,
complacency
yeah.
and the sort of, yeah, the unfortunitude. I mean, even I'm sure I love that you're doing sads at the top of the show just to sort of connect to your emotions and your brain, and sometimes I'm sure people come on here with sads that your listeners are like, "Oh, that was it, that was the worst thing that happened in your week." But we always have to remember that we're all humans and we're all living our own lives, and everything chips away at our egos, ourselves, and even like those smallest things, like, man, I was out of chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream today. Why is my life like this? So
Right.
when you can kind of get yourself away from those allowances to be quite so unnerved by everything, and yeah, intentionalize your activity and energize your activity. I think that from there can flow joy.
Absolutely. I love it. Um, what I'm curious, at home, you're hanging out with your kiddos, wife, what do you I don't know. I don't know how to phrase this. You are just radiating this creative energy. And so I'm just so curious, like, how else besides, work and acting, you play with your kids, like, where else does
Yeah.
that creativity kind of come out and show?
Um, yeah, it's inescapable almost. I, wait, I play piano. I a little. I'm not very good at it, but I play a little banjo. And the like those. We were talking earlier about just starting a podcast or whatever. Um, there people we are human beings are creative. It's important for us to connect to that little piece of ourselves, and you don't need to become the best ever at what you do, right? You don't need to sell what you're making. If your thing is coloring books, yeah, do that. Enjoy your coloring books. If your thing is not playing the piano very well, do that. Just like get those little creative juices flowing at all times. And that's like what, when my kids also provide for me is that sometimes I just want to like sit on the couch and do whatever, but they come walking up and they've got some drawing, they've got some idea, they've got some joke, and if I repel that, I'm really cutting my whole life off at the heels, right? Like there goes so much opportunity to refresh myself in a different way, and I think I'm a bit of a what's extrovert. Uh, I like people,
Yeah.
feeding off their energies and stuff. But I just think that you finding even in the quiet moments when you're just sort of hanging out at home or whatever, of just trying to tap into your soul, your humanity a little bit. On my end, it's very much creative stuff. I think a lot of people are too. They just don't know how to admit it. Um, but yeah, just cooking is such a creative act, and you get to share this thing, and then you're met with the responsibility of having to clean it up afterwards, and that kind of full circle of a meal of community and responsibility and creativity. um, I think I'm working on a good ramble here right now, but yeah, that would be kind of maybe an answer. Is
Yeah,
everything is infused with creativity, and how can I always kind of get the most joy out of it?
totally. I love it. I think that's great, and I find that I don't know if there's, others like me, but you feel creative, but it's like, I can't, paint. I can't do
But you
this. I
can.
can't. Okay, I don't like how it looks when I paint is maybe
Uh-huh.
what but I like, reminding like you can feel creative in other spaces, not just, maybe the four top things that we think of when we think of someone who's creative. I think that's so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter sometimes will get really frustrated because she's not an expert in something in a second. And it's like, "Oh, I'm
Me
sorry. Have you
too.
done this before?" She says, "No." And I go, "Okay, well then why don't you give yourself a little grace, you know?" And yeah,
Has to be
it,
perfect the first time you do it.
but,
I think
but
I really
yeah,
resonate with your
yeah.
your daughter.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It feels good when it is when something clicks. It feels good, but sometimes you just got to get it out. And yeah, of course you can paint. Maybe you paint more like Basquiat than you do Picasso, but you just enjoy that, you know?
I'll send you a picture when I get to painting this week then.
I would love that, please.
Deal. Okay, well, I love to end my episodes with something a little lighter, and I was gonna ask what your go-to snack has been, but since you brought up cooking, I wanna change it to
Oh
what's your
no.
favorite thing, and favorite's dramatic, it doesn't have to be your favorite, but something you've enjoyed cooking recently.
Um, well, I've got my mother inherited a pasta sauce from her mother, and my daughter is really enjoy when I cook it. She's really into it. And this last time I made it, she was like, "Dad, can we make the sauce and I can help you with it?"
Aw.
And so that was really wonderful. I'm just getting to like share that and teach her and talk to her about how my mom does it versus maybe how I'll do it, and then how
Aw.
she, there's it's a the ingredients are it's still a palette, right? Like, how do you want to make the sauce, dude? How do you want to like how much? Yeah, sure. How much or how many herbs do you want to put in that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. It's up to you. Does it smell good? We're like leaning over the pot, smelling it. We're taking little tastes. Yeah, yeah. We
Aw.
could do a little more of this. Yeah, let's do a little more of that. So that was really fun.
That sounds so
But
special. So fun.
yeah, what's your favorite snack?
Okay, my go-to has been like just like a Caesar salad, chicken, parmesan, but then with buffalo like sauce, just a little.
Oh,
I don't know what it is, but I could just eat that every single day lately. It has been so good.
are you drizzling the sauce, or is it
Yeah.
just like a little dip every now and then?
No, do
Uh,
do a nice so like drizzle the Caesar dressing and then drizzle a little buffalo.
uh-huh.
Chef's kiss, amazing, and
I'll
the
try
best
that.
part is, like, there aren't any dishes at the end really,
Yeah,
so
right.
it's great, but yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been so
Thank
fun
you.
to learn
Yeah,
about your show, your creativity. Sounds like you have just a wonderful little family that has
I
some
do.
really big imaginations, and I love it.
Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me. It was a sincere pleasure.
Of course.
Thanks for listening. Remember to leave a rating and review, subscribe, and come back next Thursday for a new episode. And remember, you matter and what you have to say matters. So join me here with For the Talkers.